Uncle Mark, you know, he's an uncle because he's the kind of guy that will always be there for you. You can always rely on Mark if you need advice or if you need some inspiration. Mark is very accessible.
Hello, am I actually on now?
Yes, you're on. Hold on. I'll hold the press. Stop the presses.
Oh my
the
goodness!
Actual host of the show is back with us.
You know,
and he's wearing one of Ron Hart's shirts.
You know, right now, I do not believe in any of those damn cliches. Life's what happens to you while you're making other plans. And the best thing to do is remain calm. I do not want to test my blood pressure right now. But guys, thank you. I'm sorry that I have 1918 technology and I feel so smart. I think I'm going to run for the House of Representatives. What do you think, Wiggle? You think I have a shot at winning?
Absolutely.
I'm incompetent. My technology sucks and I'm late.
That's okay.
Denny, I thought you were smarter than being a guy that would want to go into politics.
Well, I know I feel like a politician. That's what I'm trying to tell you. All right. Well, so what did I miss? Geez, I had a whole narrative. I'm so happy to have all of you guys on the show, and I'm late for the wedding. So what did I miss?
Well, I was just touting Mark as my friend and as the crazy Uncle Mark that he's been in town for a long time. I was talking about his uncleness, which is, you know, his willingness to be there for you at any time. His craziness is part of his persona, because Mark is the kind of guy that wants to do anything at any time when it comes to music. So as far as Mark and me go, Mark has motivated me to do things that I would hesitate to do on my own. He's also been the guy where I've had to say, Mark, you need to calm down. We can't do a national show in the next 2 weeks. We have to have plan a show.
So Mark's the kind of, hold on, Ron, because I have about 30 minutes of catch-up time here. So he's the kind of guy that he'll book like an Ambrosia. You don't have maybe the money to pay for it, but he thinks it's a great idea, right? That's the kind of stuff that he does.
You know, Mark is a supply kind of CPA guy. You know,
a supply.
No, don't be looking at this spreadsheet. We'll find the money. So you got to love a CPA that thinks like that.
Well, wait a minute. In all due candor, Mark, he has a nickname for you. Do you have a nickname for Ron?
No, he's true. He's right. That's a nickname for me. He's on the money with the crazy Uncle Mark. Ron, I respect Ron immensely. He's done some things in over the years that just a lot of people don't realize how instrumental he was. You know, Stewart has a reputation actually as a music community.
Yes.
And the funny thing about it is that there are a lot of people out there like you, Denny, and others that come from a serious music background, and they live here and they may be kind of semi-retired or they're sort of out of the music. Some of them aren't. Some of them are traveling around the country back in the music industry. But Ron has kind of made Stewart that place. And, you know, he was, when you look at the Terra Firmata thing, you know, and again, he's out of that right now, but he took something that was nothing. I mean, who would have thought to take an outdoor garden supply place and turn it
next to what the hell is that building next door to it? It's like an old Harley Davidson dealership or something.
Yeah, it's for sale.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
so
listen, he took that and turned it into really a place that is iconic. And frankly, even after the fact, the people haven't been able to screw it up enough to really, you know, I mean, it was that famous. That, I mean, and if you talk,
I really hope Jonathan and Eric are not listening.
No,
so
I
listen,
Eric yesterday.
I meant that in all love and
of course you did.
Exactly. I talked to Eric yesterday, Eric at Terra Firmata, and I spoke to him in the same with the same sentiment that Mark is speaking right now. So
now listen, a couple of things. I'm going to do the Woodstock show this Saturday, and I'm scheduled to do the Santana show. Now, my partner who's on the call, Wiggle, Mr. Wiggle, we were going to talk about other things, but you know, he tells me now Glenn is a very successful millionaire businessman. Love to be partnered with him. So guess what he wants to do, guys? Hey, Denny, I want to start a band. I want to go out.
I want to get back into it.
I want to get back.
Years.
Mark, Ron, would you tell him that he's out of his mind trying to start a band and getting into this?
Hey, Glenn, give me a call.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, what?
One way I would say it is that Mark was talking about you and your musicianship, and then he also said, kind of a Freudian slip, I guess. He said, and then Denny, here's what he does for a living. So he carefully, or maybe inadvertently, called you a musician, but admitted that you had a real job. So I guess, that's what we would tell your friend is. But of course, if he's successful, then he needs a hobby, and that's what I do. I have a hobby, and it has to do with music, and it can be totally rewarding. So
okay, so apparently, Glenn, these guys are saying it's okay to build the stress in your life.
Yeah.
But you know what Glenn wants to do? He wants to get like an 80s hair band where they're all wearing wigs and spandex.
Absolutely.
So, Mark, are you down with that? Can you put on a wig and spandex?
Yeah, we can.
Mark,
you don't want to
Terra Firmata before. We did a drumstick session at Terra Firmata for a fundraiser, and Mark was the go-go dancer.
He was. Okay.
I begged for money. Ron can get me to do all kinds of amazing things. He got me to beg for money in front of a bunch of people by dancing, and I don't dance. Although I will tell you, I don't dance. I have zero rhythm. I can't play an instrument, but I have performed on the stage at Terra Firmata.
You have,
thanks to Ron.
Okay.
Dancing, and I actually professionally danced at the Tropicana in Cuba. And so I was on the stage at the Tropicana in Cuba as a live performer. So I do have credentials. I have professional credentials at this point.
With Hyman Roth and Johnny Ola? Is that you were down there in Cuba?
I was in Cuba. And speaking of, we were talking about Terra Firmata, and the Tropicana down there is Terra Firmata on steroids. It's actually an outdoor venue, 3 stories, amazing place. But yes, one of these days when you've got time, I'll tell you my Cuba story. It's a very interesting one. But I did end up on the stage. The only person ended up on the stage at the Tropicana dancing in front of about 900 people.
So Glenn, maybe you got it wrong. You should just buy your own bar restaurant. Then you can come up with your own house band.
Oh, that's
exactly right.
No, that's the stress. Owning and running the bar is the stress. Getting on stage and performing to me would be the stress reliever. That's the hobby, right? So I'm not looking to make money or anything else. Just looking to do something that's not business, because I tend to, I end up working late, and your whole life becomes your work. And I need another hobby. I got fishing, I got hunting, but I could throw in a third hobby. I don't golf. Without golf, I got plenty of time for music.
Glenn, you need to talk to me. We can work this out. Then we'll get with Ron, but we can work this out. We've got some plans out there.
So we're going to get the house band with Mark Brechbill, Glenn Wiggle, and Ron. Ron's going to want to be the lead guy. You know that. He's going to come out with his drumstick, and he's going to, I'm going to be the rhythm player or something.
Yeah, we got bigger plans than that.
Ron, do you sing too, Ron?
Well, of course, Denny. Of course I sing. Yes.
Well,
yeah. I take it you haven't seen any of my drumstick sessions.
Well, no, I see that, and I think it's cool because you have like the Arizona desert in the background. But I'm saying, could you?
Ron,
I don't know.
He's seen your drumstick sessions. That's why he asked if you can sing.
Oh man, we're throwing it down like that today, huh? Okay, nothing but love in the air. Hey, Evan, what do you think? Would you go see this house band at Terra Firmata, or what do you think?
Well, let's see. First, we got Mark Brechbill in spandex and I don't know what.
And a wig. And a wig.
I don't know your guest, Glenn Wiggle, all that good, so I'll tread lightly there.
Okay.
I've known Ron for about 15 or 20 minutes, and from what I can hear from him, I don't want to see his drumsticks.
Well, wait, no, Ron was a guest on our show. You don't remember?
I don't remember. I don't.
Okay.
I don't. And
I was the really handsome older gentleman.
Oh, okay. All right. And Denny, I've known Denny for over a year now. I've known Denny for about a year now, and I've seen him actually play, and he was instrumental on me purchasing my son's guitar, and I've seen Denny play, and he's very talented. So I don't know what we would call this. I don't know what we would call this band. Denny and the Demons, maybe? I don't know.
No. We are not putting Denny in a name there. It's got to be
How about
something
Mark,
else.
Mark and the Maniacs.
There you go.
That might work. I mean,
Crazy Uncle Mark.
You
and
got
the
Mike
Maniac.
and the Mechanics, so why not Mark and the Maniacs?
There you go.
we could call
Crazy
it
Uncle Mark and the
Glenn's
Maniac.
crazy idea, or I don't know. You know, we could have a contest what we would name this. But the question is, what the hell would we play?
Well,
what's the music genre?
I play
So you-
drums, so I could play drums for you.
No, that's what Glenn wants to do.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I
Mark,
do.
I don't know.
Oh,
What are you going to play? No, you don't play an instrument. You're just going to shake up and
He'll
down.
dance.
He's
I
going
would,
to
I would
dance.
play the tambourine, but I can't play that either. So
You know,
Yeah.
our listeners are probably listening like, what the hell are these guys talking about? I mean, I thought this was about, well, you never know. So
it's about retirement too. This is retirement.
is that what it is?
You know, all of us here have found a way to make money, doing things we love to do,
Right.
and we're not planning on stopping. So have I retired? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I'll ever know if I have retired. But this is one more thing to do that, you know, is that retirement? No, it's not retirement. I mean, when I say you have a job, you have other things that you do besides the things you love to do as well. You know, you do a lot of different things. And that's what we all do. That's successful retirement. I think this is a good example of what a lot of entrepreneurs do. They don't, you know, most of us don't retire because we just find a way to do our passion and do what we love to do. Some of it's, you know, traditional stuff like financial planning, taxes. Some of it's not traditional, like music and venues and booking entertainment and being producers and doing all that kind of stuff. So it's cool. I mean, I think it's really neat.
Yeah, you know, Ron is far from retirement. I mean, this guy, Ron, how many shows do you book a year? This is crazy. Like you have at any given
how many
week.
I book a week, because I just looked into it. I do 37 bookings a week.
A week.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
really retired. Can't you tell? And you know, and I know Ron doesn't need the money. So, but he too goes through the wonderful experience of dealing with musicians and scheduling. And that's a show in itself, right, Ron?
Well, let me be clear. I guess I don't need the money, but if you have any extra, I will give you my bank account information. You can wire it directly to me.
You see that? They
I will
think,
find a way to use that money that you don't need. All right.
okay. How about you, Glenn? You're okay, right?
I think Stewart sounds like a lot more fun than Jupiter. I got to be honest with you. I hear all this stuff about Stewart and the Terra Firmata and the music and the scene. I'm down here in Jupiter, and it seems pretty boring in comparison. So, but
Stewart is indeed a unique place. It's got a lot. I mean, you looked at it, you thought about moving here because you love to fish, and my God, there are so many spots to fish here in Stewart.
it's definitely more my speed. It's from a more rural kind of hometowny, you know, downtown area with the shops and the bars and the restaurants. You know, you don't quite get that in Jupiter. Jupiter is used to be kind of a sleepy resort town. Now it's like it's almost a little too built up, I think, in some cases, and too commercialized. But we're here. I've been here for 10 years, so I'm not going anywhere, unfortunately.
You know, Glenn, you hit it. You know, that's what I was kind of leading to, or kind of saying before, is that Stewart kind of had the same. I think was kind of in that same situation as Jupiter. It had a nice little town. People say, "Oh yeah, nice little town. You could go." And you know, that's what I was talking about. Ron actually turned this into a venue for music. I mean, Stewart now has a reputation for that kind of thing. And it was largely as a result of his efforts initially. I remember one time, I think Ron had booked Corey Smith into Terra Firmata at the time for a fundraiser for Kiwanis, believe it or not. We did it as a fundraiser for a charity. And so we're working for Kiwanis. And, you know, we were worried because he's got a big following, and we knew there'd be a crowd coming up from West Palm worried about parking. And I tell you what, it was amazing. All of the people, first of all, that were Ubering up, so that parking wasn't an issue. But second of all, had never been to Stewart. They were coming to Stewart solely for that purpose. And you know, hear these people say, wow, this is so cool. You know, we need to start coming up here more often. And that's the kind of thing that, you know, a lot of people don't realize, but that's the kind of thing that Ron did here in Stewart, so that we do have an identity for music. In fact, to the point sometimes we get lazy and we get a little bit we get a little bit spoiled because we have so much talent now being booked in here that you can see almost anything. And if we had a little larger venue, we could get those national acts in, but we do have a tremendous, and it's really because of that. And as a result, we have people who are musicians who may do other things too, but are musicians that live here because of that, because they can have some fun on the weekends, they can play locally if they want, and and then still have a nice place to live and work.
Well, you're definitely, Stewart's attracting some big name folks. I mean, I know Dan Bongino recently moved to Stewart. Really? It's not, oh yeah, so he lives, I think, on Sailfish Point area. So it's not just musicians. It's Stewart is becoming a reputation for being the community that was what Jupiter kind of used to be in a way. And I think a lot of these big name folks are skipping Singer Island, skipping Jupiter Island, skipping Jupiter and Palm Beach, and looking for that more, I guess, hometown atmosphere that Stewart brings. So congratulations.
Yeah, we had, we've had Tori Amos was here, Alan Jackson was here, lives here. We've had a lot of people. What's his name from the Monkees was here had a ranch out west of town.
I actually played with him when that happened. I played guitar with Davy Jones and Mickey Dolenz when we did that show. I forget how many years ago, because I was friends with Mickey Dolenz. I was his guitar player. And, it's true, coming from my perspective, a lot of great music happening in Stewart, unlike any other place per capita, so to speak. You at any given day, there could be 5, 7, 8 venues that are having live music and different music, rock and roll.
Probably
jazz.
More than that, Denny.
Probably more. You're right, Ron. And I've always loved guys like you, Ron, that you introduced the concept at certain restaurants and venues. Hey, you know what? It'd be cool to have music here, and I think people love that. They're now have grown used to it. Evan, to answer, no, I don't want to take any breaks because I feel. I love to entertain our consumers, and because we had a hiccup and I was an absentee ballot for about 20 minutes, I'd like to, I'd like to do this again when we're all face to face or in the studio together. But whoever's listening, you should be happy and proud to live in this area because of people like Ron and crazy Uncle Mark. But it's not just about entertainment for us. I mean, Mark, you have an excellent tax practice, just like Glenn and I have, and we're happy to partner up with you and help clients with some very unique solutions. Now, I know we're going from music to investing, and it may not be as exciting for some people, but this world is getting crazier by the nanosecond. Can we all agree that we think taxes are going to be higher going forward? Can we all agree that they're printing so much money that we can, music and fun is great, but we're taking care of families on some very important issues without getting political, folks. There's a lot of stuff happening now, and the market keeps chugging along. Are you guys surprised that it's like, Glenn? I mean, do you scratch your head sometimes and say, "Wow, I can't believe it keeps going and going"?
Well, not when they're dropping trillions of dollars across the country on a seemingly every semi-annual basis here. So you're dropping in. We're at like almost $10 trillion in the last, say, 15, 18 months between stimulus, all of last year, earlier this year. They're looking at passing another $3.5 trillion bill. So all that money is flooding into the market. It's going to businesses, it's going to airlines, it's going to individuals. And that's what's really driving the market ahead. What's happening is you've got so many dollars coming into the market, you're causing inflation, and it's inflating all assets. It's inflating home prices. We've seen that here in South Florida. It's inflating stock prices, right? It's inflating lumber prices, steel prices, groceries at the store. So that inflation of too many dollars chasing too few goods is driving up all the prices, and stocks are going along right with that. That inflation is pushing a lot of these industrial type stocks, the Dow Jones, higher. Where inflation, it will hurt if interest rates go up with it. When you saw the interest rates rise, it hurt some of those growth stocks that are higher multiple stocks. As those interest rates have come back down, the 10-year treasury below 1.5, those stocks have turned back around and resumed their rally. So that's what's going on. That's what's driving the markets higher. What you're going to probably see is you'll see buybacks start to happen.
Okay. And Mark, from from your perspective on the tax side, I mean, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but do you think they're going to do away with some of these things like the 1031 exchanges and the opportunity zones? I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think some of the stuff will go away. I think the 1031 exchange will stay. I mean, I know I'm doing a lot of those right now, and I think that, most of the wealth accumulation over the generations is done through 1031 exchanges. That's how wealth is transferred and passed. That and something called stepped up basis. And stepped up basis is where, when you die, if your assets were subject to estate taxes, even if you didn't have to pay any, which is everybody, then the value, the cost of your asset when you die becomes the fair market value. So you don't have to pay the income tax on that appreciation. Those two things are huge wealth accumulators, and those I think will stay in, because I don't think, even with reconciliation, I don't think there's enough Democrat support. Even there won't be any Republican support, I don't think, and there's not enough Democrat support. They're going to kind of attack that through the estate side, and they'll probably be successful with that. So you're going to see situations where, you may not be able to pass as much wealth on. You may have to pay some taxes on it. It's funny, back in 2012, when Obama was dealing with and it was actually Bush and Obama were dealing with reduction in the estate taxes. And when Obama got elected, there was thought that the threshold level would go back up, would go, the unified credit amount, they call it, would go back up. And it didn't. And the reason it didn't is because that administration learned, and now this is Biden as well, learned that there is more money tax-wise in taxing the appreciation at death than to tax the estate at death. There's more support for it because people say, well, you made that money, you should pay the taxes, and it's not taxing the assets that have already been taxed. So the bottom line is that idea is going to come back again. So, and they're already, here's what I think is going to happen, and it's going to be pretty easy tax-wise for the Democrats to do this in reconciliation. They're going to roll back all of the Trump tax changes. Most of the Trump tax changes were adjustments to the existing code. They were not changes. So the tax rate, for example, went down for businesses, for pass-through entities and all that, but it went down as a percentage of the maximum tax. So he didn't actually cut the rates. He just gave you a credit against your taxes based on, the type of business you had. Well, those are going to go away. So that immediately is not technically a tax increase from the government standpoint. It just got rid of that thing that Trump did. And it's going to then push taxes up to the original maximum, which was 39.6. And the Obamacare tax that was in there, the Affordable Care Tax, the 3.9 or whatever that is, 3.6% add-on for investments, that's going to be in there. So now you're talking about a tax rate, a maximum tax rate of 43%, and they're going to exclude capital gains. So you're going to pay that on capital gains too, long-term capital gains. So what people with assets that have appreciated that have not sold them are going to be looking at a 43% tax instead of a 15 or 20. So that's a significant factor. And I think it's a big deal. And I wanted to make one point though, relative to what Glenn was saying, and I agree with him 100%. The biggest problem we have is inflation. Inflation.
Absolutely.
It is the most significant tax because it taxes the working poor and the poor much higher than it taxes the wealthy. So any politician, Republican, Democrat, whatever, that stands up there and tells you they care about people and then allows inflation to rip away their lives is a liar and a cheat. And trust me, you fall into one of two categories. If you're supporting the spending and the Federal Reserve position right now, you either fall into idiot or thief. And so,
there are no other options.
There's no other options.
I
want to make one more comment, Denny. I made it on my show the other day, yesterday, on my economic show. This is something for you to think about and for other people to think about. We all know that what's happening right now with the administration is moving towards a socialist or a communist type environment. And people will
Absolutely,
tell you,
yeah.
oh, that's rhetoric and everything else. Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what's the difference between communism and socialism. You know, I went to Cuba. That's communism, right? So what's the difference between communism and socialism? Well, the difference is with socialism, the government controls all of your income. And with communism, they also control your assets. Well, if you control somebody's income, you control their assets. So there really is no difference between socialism and communism. But people say, well, communism could never take place here in the United States because we will fight it. Well, here's something I'm going to tell you. We've just done massive amounts of economic injury disaster loans, EIDLs, right? Now, those are loans. Those aren't the PPP that are freed. These are loans. And now we're funding those loans at 2 years revenues, 2 years revenues, technically gross profit margin, but it eliminates all the labor. So we're funding at 2 years gross sales for most businesses. How many small businesses would sell for 2 years gross sales? None, right? So, I mean, most of them sell multiples of net income, some multiples of gross sales, but it's usually a year, never two, and they're funding at that level. And so what's happening without people knowing it is small businesses have in effect sold their business for more than it was worth to the federal government. The federal government owns most of the businesses, a lot of small businesses in the United States right now. They own all of your assets because they have a loan to you that is worth more than your business. You can't refinance it, and you have to do what they say. So think about it. We have snuck communism through the back door to entrepreneurs who would never support communism, but have been forced to. And that's where we're at. And that's something that, if you really think about it, is real scary.
Mark, I have a question. Why didn't you tell me all this before you helped me secure my EIDL loan?
because the thing is,
because he got paid.
Because you have no choice. You can always pay it back. But the fact is, and that's kind of a good point. The point is, we had to do that because if we don't do it, our competition is doing it, and they'll put us out of business. Right. So we're being forced because of some of the things that are going on. We're being forced to do these things because of the fact that if we don't, we'll be out of business. And when we were talking before about the stock market, the government can take over the stock market very easy because they're large corporations. It doesn't, they're regulating them under control. So if you look at it, the government is, in effect, they are monetizing or taking over almost all corporate business. They're doing large corporate business through regulation, and small mom and pops who generate all of the activity in the economy through these loan programs. And it's a scary thing. And we're going to wake up one day and realize what's happened, and it's going to be a scary thing.
I want to say something, guys, as the host, and that's another reason why I think my blood pressure is back to normal now, that I wanted to start early with this call. But, as I have all of you on this call, it reminds me of kind of a dream of mine. And one is to come up with a presentation or a company like, look, we have Independent Solutions. Our top managers are on CNBC every week. And, I've always dreamed about, and Stuart could be a great place to start this, where we provide entertainment, financial advice, some advice for well-being as well, because I am cerebral that way. I have a book on the subject. I believe that happiness is an inside job and you should work on it, where we could literally provide entertainment, music, okay, advice from a taxation standpoint, world-renowned fund managers talking about the economy, because it would be a hell of an experience. People would go there to get entertained, right? To find out financial advice, because they're not just getting this from, the biggest thing about all these big outfits is you get lost in the shuffle. It's hard for you to get assigned the same advisor over and over again. And, the personal touch is what people they're looking for that. So between Mark, your expertise, Glenn, and Ron would be the one who could put it together, because he's the promoter in the area. And I'm telling you that we should put our heads together. We got 4 minutes before they get the hook. See if we can come up, maybe book one show in it, right? And maybe we'll get the spandex hair guys together for that.
As long as I'm allowed to play.
You know,
What's
I
that?
just, Denny, I just
Talk
thought of what instrument I can play.
What could
I
you
can do
play?
the song and dance. I
What?
can do the song and dance. I can do the song and dance. I do that all the
Oh.
time with my clients. I do
Oh,
the
you
song
do?
and dance.
Okay. So, and some of your clients would
Listen,
probably
here's
get a
my-
big kick.
I want to share an observation. I just had an epiphany.
You did? Okay.
Mark and Denny need to be partners, because I think I'm going to start calling Denny Crazy Uncle Denny. All right. Because
Oh
he
my
wants to take
God.
finance and entertainment and blend it together. And that's the epitome of Mark Brechbill.
I love it. I love
Well,
it.
we're going to need Wiggle in the mix because he can bring out the big hitters. Listen, some of our
Listen.
CFAs, when they speak, we shut up and listen because they're, I mean,
Maybe
Glenn's
the
got
band should be called Wiggle Room.
I think
Yeah.
so.
I love it. I'm breaking that down, Ron.
You know, Glenn's a pretty smart guy, but he told me the other day, dude, when these guys talk, I feel pretty stupid. And he's been doing
I
this
swear to God.
a
I had a
long
dictionary.
time.
I had an investment committee on Tuesday meeting, Denny. So we had an investment committee meeting, and literally they're using words that I don't even know. Zimmer's texting me, our operations guy is texting me Webster's dictionary definition.
Oh, really?
I felt like an idiot. Yeah, seriously.
So,
Pathetic.
hey, that's why they do what they do and we do what we do.
That's exactly right.
So okay, I'm officially Crazy Uncle Denny, but I'm telling you guys, I think Stuart, of all places, we could do it. What's the worst that could happen?
That's true.
Yeah.
You know,
If-
financial people have been providing free meals. We'll just provide free music. Actually, we can
Exactly.
provide free meals and music, you know? We can
Right.
do
Yeah. We're not going to
it's
give you a
great.
steak. We're going to give you some good music.
Yeah.
There'll be someone speaking about these topics and you'll learn something. And, I think a lot of my clients, they get a kick out of my story, which I didn't think much about until I partnered up with Glenn and Mike. And they said, you got to tell your clients your background. I literally was a lead singer for with famous bands. And these guys with platinum records were sleeping on my couch, eating Jack in the Box cheeseburgers. So I said, man, I should probably do something else with my life. I knew I could always play music, just like you, Mark, just like Ron, just like Glenn is trying to do, crazy man that he is. When do you have time to do this, Glenn? That's what I'd like to see.
You could give a busy person something to do and he'll find time for it.
Is that how it is?
Absolutely.
You too, Mark?
Yeah, that's true.
You
That's
too,
true.
Ron? Ron?
Listen, I can only do like 3 or 4 things at the same time. You give me one task, I'm going to wait till I have more to add to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't want to waste time.
You know, I so believe him. He is so that's him. Yeah. And he's so dialed in. All right. Well, guys, I'm so glad we got to eventually speak, and my technology sucks. And but I've enjoyed our conversation. I'm going to follow up. So Glenn, Mark, Ron, I don't know. This could be the start of something crazy. But let's have fun. And Evan got to witness it all. So he'll say, I remember when you guys lost your mind and came up with these ideas.
Oh yeah.
All right. So
Thanks,
folks,
Evan.
thanks for listening in. I hope to tune in next week where my technology will be up to speed. Thanks for listening to Today with Denny. Hey, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Ron. And be careful out there, folks. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Denny.
Thanks.
guys.
See you guys.